morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me here today, and thank you for the opportunity to bid on your request for IT services. My name is Josh Doe, and I'm owner and CEO of Tech Guy Incorporated, and we're located right here in Anna, Illinois. Started the business from my home office about 1 mile away from this courthouse in Jonesboro. And since then, we've grown to a brick and mortar location in Anna, 5 full-time employees, 1 part-time employee, all residents of Union County. We currently provide regular IT services to over 100 businesses in Southern Illinois and Southeast Missouri. And we also do website design and development and support for companies all over the world, really. Our service area for IT services spans from Carroll, Illinois to St. Louis, Missouri. We have strategic partnerships with Cisco, Microsoft, and many other large name OEMs that you've probably heard of and that you would expect us to work with. We generally consider ourselves a business IT provider, and you probably, I'm not sure what the other proposals have in them, you've probably heard a few different approaches. We like to suggest a managed services agreement, which is what I've added to our proposal here. We also have many customers who are in what we call a break-fix environment, where when something breaks, they call us, we come and fix it. So I feel like our proposal is very thorough, but I don't want it to define us as the only services that we can provide to the county, because we can make that quite flexible. So, a couple benefits, I think, going with us. We do service a large variety of industries, so we do benefit, and our customers benefit from the knowledge diversity that our employees absorb as they go and service our school districts, medical facilities, factories, manufacturers. We service many, many different industries, law firms, accounting firms, etc. We do have some work that we've done for municipalities and local government. We actually have not done any work directly for a county before, other than maybe the odd service call here or there. So, as you'll see in the letter of recommendations I included at the end of our proposal, we are well reviewed and well recommended by many Union County and Southern Illinois businesses. And many of those in similar situations similar to yours, where you are saying goodbye to an on-site full-time supplier and looking to outsource those services. One recommendation that I can specifically point you toward is for our Shawnee Community School District, where they did have an on-site full-time IT person, which we had replaced with our managed services agreement. So, going through your scope of work, and our proposal calls for our company to provide general IT support for all users and devices. General website support, so website edits, weekly postings, whatever it is as you guys need it done, we will do that for you. Website hosting, email services. Something you didn't specifically request was the actual backup service. You more specifically requested the management of the backup services, but we will actually provide a backup service to you as part of our proposal. And then the standard things you would expect for an IT person to do for you: hardware repairs, upgrade, replacement, coordination with your other vendors, and that sort of thing. You have some additional considerations in the proposal as well. The consolidation of your existing physical servers, consolidation of Active Directory domains, upgrades to your Wi-Fi network, a proposed budget, elimination of, for 5 years of workstation servers, elimination of legacy software, and an email migration from your current email solution to a Microsoft Exchange-based email. I will say on those additional considerations, some of these things are going to be hard for any provider to give you a full proposal on without intimate access and intimate knowledge to the existing services. So we can say in general, we'll eliminate your legacy software, but that might be a 10-step process. That might be deeper than it seems to say, hey, we don't like this old computer, let's get rid of it. There might be some other things that need to be considered there. So in my proposal, I've tried to address those situations the best we can. But some things require a deeper dive than I think what the RFP allows for us to present on. That being said, I'm confident in our company and our ability to come up with the solutions for all of the considerations you guys have included in the RFP. For our IT support services, I proposed unlimited on-site and unlimited remote support. And what I mean by unlimited, it doesn't mean I'm going to park one of my employees here 40 hours a week for you. It means unlimited services as defined in our proposal based on your RFP. End user support, workstation maintenance and repair, help with email, help with your website, etc. We don't come and we don't charge you a set amount for on-site. We don't charge you a set amount for remote support. Our technicians make the call. If that's a remote support case, we can help you remotely. If we need to come on site, we come on site at our nearest availability. We do have a priority system where you guys will submit your issues to us. We'll assign it a priority that is agreeable to the person submitting the issue, and if they say we need you right now, we get there as quickly as we can, or we try to address it remotely. We try to take every task, every request on a case-by-case basis. Clearly, you don't want your IT team tied up because so-and-so doesn't know how to use Microsoft Word, and they don't really need to know how to use it when we should be over here fixing the server for this department instead. So with that being said, our ticketing system, very similar to the previous presenter, does have the ability for the end user to submit a priority level, and then we will evaluate that based on the priority level as well. Speaking of our ticketing system, we do have a fully accessible ticketing system. Every person that's serviced as part of the contract will have a small icon on their computer where they can click. They can either chat with us instantly, or they can more preferably submit a trouble ticket where they'll give us a title, description, assign a priority, and if they have a preferred method of contact, they can let us know, hey, I'm out of the office, call me here, email me, do remote support, etc. With our ticketing system, we can assign administrators in the county access to an overhead view of that. So administrators can log in and see all the tickets that have been submitted by all employees, when they've been responded to, when they've been resolved, priority levels, notes, invoices, estimates, everything actually shows up in that portal along with the ticketing. So we can assign that role to key individuals with Union County government who will be able to kind of oversee all of our correspondence with all of their employees. We do provide 24/7, 365 system monitoring. We have a lightweight piece of software we deploy to all your machines, your computers, your servers, your laptops. That software does a lot for us actually. We call it our RMM, Remote Monitoring and Management Software. That software includes our managed antivirus service. So we have an antivirus, anti-malware that reports back to a centralized server for us so we can monitor the security of the devices individually. We run what we call patch management through that software. That means we're pushing out Windows updates and software updates through that software. And then that software is also monitoring the overall health of your machine, the current status of the patches, security, etc., and reporting that back to us. We get real-time updates. If a machine falls out of what we consider compliance, meaning it's out of date or insecure, we get notified and we know that we should address that machine. In most cases, we know of an issue before a user has to submit it to us. So, in addition to just regular IT support services and 365 monitoring, we would focus on ongoing improvements, network functionality, and security. Partnering with us as your IT provider, we don't want to just sit on our haunches and say, okay, we fixed this, see you tomorrow, or, well, we covered these tickets, we're done for the day. We want to have an overall vision for where you are now, where you should be, how we can improve, most importantly, efficiencies in your employees' use of technology, the security of your network. So while we are monitoring and supporting your existing devices and users, we will also develop and maintain an ongoing plan for moving forward, upgrades, and then try to keep you apprised of where you need to be versus where you are now. So anything major that we come up with, we of course present to whoever our point of contact is and says, hey, this needs to be addressed now, or next year, or next month, etc. Going on. Your RFP requested email services. For that, we were going to suggest Microsoft Exchange. We were going to suggest Microsoft Exchange Online. In the meeting on April 5th, it was indicated that you guys didn't need additional productivity software, Microsoft Word, etc. So my proposal, I've only bid the Exchange email only. However, with Microsoft, we can do the full 365 suite, which would include Word, Excel, all of the newest software for all the employees, should you decide that that's needed at some point. For my proposal, I've included email exchange services, 50 gigabytes of storage per mailbox, and then we can develop and maintain a data retention and archiving system based on whatever your retention policies say. So if you're governed by a policy that says we have to keep all our communications for 12 years, we set up your policy to maintain that retention of data. For the email services, that is a cloud-based service, Microsoft Exchange Online. However, we will replicate the archive of those emails to a server at your facility here, provided that you have hardware available, which according to the April 5th meeting, there is a server here already doing something similar to that. So we would actually archive that email here, and then as part of our backup solution, we would then send an offsite backup for you as well. So we're going to have multiple copies of that data. The possibility of you losing an email or an email being deleted and never being retrieved is very, 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 very low, fractions of a %. Of course, as part of our services, we would include the migration of your existing mail to the new mail server, and then training and policy development assistance for those who are going to the new mail server, how to use it, proper methods, and then should you have that retention policy, helping you inform your employees of what that data retention policy should be and how they should help maintain that. So. Regarding our backup services and our disaster recovery solution, every proposal we put out for managed services includes our backup and disaster recovery. We feel like any business, especially one of your size, should have a disaster recovery plan in place, or you might also hear it referred to as business continuity. How do we continue to do business should a disaster strike? So part of our proposal includes unlimited offsite backup with our solution. We take your data that's on your servers. Your data is encrypted in place with AES 256-bit encryption. It's then transmitted over an encrypted connection to our office where our data servers are located. And then it's also sent to a local backup on site here. Once that backup is complete, then we actually re-encrypt the data again and send it to multi-regional facilities on the East Coast and the West Coast. So should a tornado take out Union County or some kind of major event, preparing for the absolute worst, your data is not just here or across town, your data is in separate locations in the United States. Should there be a desire to do that, we can send it to a separate location around the world. We have the ability to do that, and we can work on that, if we become your IT provider and figure out those policies and how your data should be stored and where it should be stored going forward. Our backup system meets all major compliances, namely HIPAA, so if there are HIPAA concerns with the ambulance department, we meet all HIPAA compliances with our backup. The data is fully encrypted, so when it lands at our office or any of the other locations, if someone were to open a file, the file means nothing without the decryption key. It's just a bunch of jumbled letters and numbers, essentially, once it leaves this facility. That decryption key, the key that's needed to access that data, can be exclusive to you, meaning that only you as Union County government know that key, or it can be shared between you and us as your IT provider so that we can help you retrieve that data, and you do have that choice. Our system also sends daily email notifications to the points of contact of the government, so you'll get a notification every day letting you know that your backup is complete and that your backup is whole and that there weren't any problems with it. Now, in the event of some kind of, it doesn't have to be a natural disaster, but let's say there's a major power issue here and you lose a server, and that server has a lot of critical data on it. Every day when your backup hits our office, we have an entirely separate system that does a virtual rebuild of your server. So on any given day, we have a virtual image of your server, its software, and as it operates. We can actually boot that up as a functional computer and give you access to it. So if your state's attorney's server goes down and he has critical data that he needs, we can boot that server up within 2 hours and provide him a secure connection to our office to access his data. So should all your servers die today, we can have all your servers virtually launched tomorrow while we rebuild the infrastructure for you. As far as backup services, disaster recovery goes, I feel like we have a very foolproof plan in place and a very reliable service. And I'm very pleased with what we've come up with this, and it's worked well for our other customers. I did attend the meeting on the 5th, and I had some additional concerns that weren't addressed in the RFP. One of my major concerns was for network security. It didn't really seem like there was any continuity or any kind of plan in place for how this network is secured, how it's accessed remotely. There's multiple ISPs in the building. There's really not any real firewalls in the building. I think there was one that was in the court system that I had in my notes. So there's really, if you guys have a security intrusion in your network right now, you don't have any way of knowing about it. And that's a big problem for me as your IT provider. So while we can't force you to buy anything, as part of our services, we are going to highly recommend that you allow us to integrate an enterprise firewall for you that will monitor the data coming in and out of your network. So you will know if your network is sending something to a malicious server in Russia or China or someone else, and that doesn't seem, a lot of people don't think that that's a possibility. You know, we're Union County government in the tip of Illinois that nobody knows about, you know, because we're not Chicago, but it is. There's breaches in Carbondale, Marion, Dongola, all over the place, and it's not because someone needs to target you specifically, it's just because they target the internet as a whole and try to find an opening or a vulnerability. So I really feel like network security should be a concern, it should be part of your budget, and should be something that you guys are asking questions about. You should have a firewall in place that monitors and creates a log of incoming and outgoing connections. You made the comment earlier that you'd like to know, you know, is an employee's computer being utilized for non-business related tasks? Well, our firewalls can do layer 7 investigation on all that traffic, and you can actually see the websites and type of websites an employee is visiting. It spits that out as a pie graph for us, so you can see if 80% of their data is going to YouTube, then you've got a policy issue that you need to address. So, and we can do all of that in addition to the security monitoring with our firewall solution. Furthermore, I really feel like the Union County government network should be optimized, consolidated. There's a lot of physical separation in networks that are in this very same building. As an IT provider, that doesn't make sense to me because you're looking at wanting to share resources, maybe consolidate. The RFP says 5 servers. I think the IT provider on the bid said up to 10 servers. I mean, as far as consolidating those servers across physically separated networks, those networks need to be connected so that you can share the resources between departments that you need to, and then we can logically separate those resources based on security, permissions, position, etc. Further concerns I had were that risk assessments should be regularly considered for your network. A risk assessment is a software we can run that will scan the network, scan the machines, and check for possible compliance issues, for instance, PCI compliance, data privacy compliance issues, or just major security issues. And as part of our services, we're going to run those risk assessments once a month for you and provide you guys the report for those. So you will know if there's a major issue and what it's going to take to address it. And other than that, I just mentioned that potential compliance issues should be considered. I think some concerns came up in the meeting on the 5th where there was a PCI compliance, I think, with maybe the ambulance service, and that's something we can certainly help you with as well. I think I've addressed all of the major key points in the proposal, so I guess I'll open up for questions or concerns and kind of go from there.
You've got a lot of recommendations in your proposal here, like you just mentioned, and so forth, that you feel like need to be addressed. Your bid price, is that, I guess, connected to us either making these upgrades or not, or what you're recommending, or
So,
your bid price, is that
so
taking our system as is now and doing?
yes, so our bid price is supporting your system as is, and the additional items that I've included that have additional costs because it's hardware that you have to buy, those are add-ons, but our price will not change should you implement those things. We just highly suggest that you do it. It's going to help us serve you better. It's going to help us give you more detailed reports about your network.
I guess my question is, can you comfortably tell me that if we don't make those changes necessarily right now or whatever, that we can continue on and have adequate support from you?
Yes, we can certainly support your network as it sits right now without any additional purchases, without the firewall implementation, without the network consolidation.
I'm not saying not neither, and I'm just
Yeah,
asking.
sure.
you-
Yeah, we will, this
Looking at the
proposal,
cost factor.
yeah, this proposal assumes supporting your systems as is. However, I included the cost of the additional
Right,
recommendations,
right,
so that you would know
so,
that
yeah.
I will immediately come to you as selected and say, you need to do these things, basically, as my official recommendation. so.
Is the recommendations, the one in red here, is
Yeah.
that the additional cost?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
What, we read here when I asked the question, what is your response time on a ticket or a call or an email from any of our departments?
I mean, some responses can be instant. We do have that priority level that comes in. If someone marks something as low priority, it could be, 2 hours. If they say it's a low priority, but something comes in of a critical nature, we're gonna try to call back or issue the ticket response immediately, so. And that being said, our office is across town.
Right.
There's rarely an event where I don't have a technician in Anna.
Sure.
We do have a broad service area, but there's rarely an event where I do not have a technician in Anna. Should there be a real emergency where someone needs to come on site, we can have someone on site within 10 minutes. in most cases.
Can you tell me what municipalities you do service?
So we have done some work with the city of Anna. We're not the regular IT provider, we've just done some work for them. We've integrated firewalls for the city of Pinckeyville. We do ongoing work for the city of Olin and the Olin Police Department. And that's all I can think of off the top of my head.
Well, like was asked earlier, like if a call at 3 o'clock in the morning or something like that, that's part of it. And the reason I'm asking is because in the terms of the contract, it says any additional services or special projects not specified would be on an hourly basis. But anything that we call upon the services that we have now, that's included in the price. That's not going to be an hourly rate that's tagged on.
3 a.m. Sunday, same price. 5 a.m. Saturday, same price. The clause in the contract that says for additional services,
Yep.
That would be, if it's determined that this half of the building needs to be rewired, and our crew is to be the company to do that. We're gonna bid that separately, charge that separately. If you add a massive amount of systems that aren't covered in the RFP, the installation of those, if it's a big project, would not be covered in the RFP time, of course. If you replace all the security cameras in the whole building, we can't cover that under our unlimited support, of course. But maintaining existing systems, existing phones, et cetera, or
Okay.
anything that we recommend you implement, that's 24/7, 365.
Okay.
And we fully expect, as county government, that you guys might need our assistance outside of normal business hours. We also fully expect, as we do with our other businesses and as we regularly accommodate, that some things need to be fixed after hours. You have a small annoyance with your machine and you don't want to be interrupted in your workday, so we're going to work on that when you get off at 4 or 4:15 or 4:30. You guys need a server migration completed, but we can't disrupt 20 employees from doing their job that day, so we'll schedule it starting on a Friday evening through a Sunday or something like that. In addition to the calls you might make outside of standard normal operating hours, we're going to schedule our own work to perform for you outside of regular operating hours, simply because that's how we're going to help you optimize your employee efficiency and technology.
So if we add 10 additional workstations, your service fee doesn't change?
My service fee doesn't change, but I did line item our software for a reason, because that does have a monthly cost. So, the software we run on the system that has the antivirus and risk assessment and everything, we do charge per machine per month for that. So that might change. So if you add 10 machines at $10 a month, that would be your cost difference monthly.
But what we've got now is in the bid.
Yes.
Okay. And this is a question probably that, we'll ask whoever gets the bid, but like you were talking about the separation of departments on the servers, that has always been a point of contention within this, that, everybody wants to be on a server.
Sure.
But they don't want this because there's afraid that there's, a lack of security there. But that, if we did implement that, that would be part of what you would do then?
Yes, of course.
Okay, because that's something that you have to.
You mentioned the server consolidation, but logical separation, I don't
Yeah.
know what that means.
So, you have physical separation and you have logical separation. Physical separation means this machine is my machine and no one else accesses it. Logical separation says that the 5 of us share this machine, but we all have our own accounts on it and we can't see each other's data. That's simply explained. Now, in the realm of servers, that could be much more complex. Right now, and again, I don't have intimate access to the network here, so I'm making my proposals based on best practices. But right now, it's my understanding that even with all of the different servers, that there's really not any kind of failover or redundancy. So if we're going to do a failover environment for you, what do? Do you buy 5 departments, 2 servers each, so they can have a failover? Or do you buy 2 powerful servers that those departments can share? Now they're both experiencing the benefits of high availability and failover from run those servers. Now, additionally, one server doesn't have to do one job anymore, not in 2018. So we're going to use that hardware server to virtualize the machines that each department needs. So even though they're sharing physical servers, they're actually going to have segregated virtual servers where and as needed. That's just a general overview. The plan can change depending on specialty software that maybe the state's attorney needs, that needs its own server. I mean, there's a lot of things that can come into play there. But technically, to guarantee maximum uptime of your networks, we would recommend you have at least 2 servers that are put together in a cluster with high availability and failover, meaning one server fails, everyone seamlessly migrates to the other server without any network downtime. So logistically and financially, the consolidation of all of your individual networks so that they can share that resource makes a lot of sense to me. And on that note, any kind of implementation of server replacement, et cetera, that's included in our bid price. Of course, you guys would pay the hardware price with that. We do have distribution through 2 of the biggest IT distributors in the United States, like Data Ingram, Micro, so we do have what we consider very competitive pricing. Of course, if we find that we can't offer a device to the county for the same or better price than another vendor, or they've got a great sale, or maybe they have a special agreement, we're going to recommend you buy it from someone else, of course. But it is, we do offer to be the single point of contact for all your hardware purchases so that we can implement them and manage the ordering and everything of that. But again, we try to work on fair and competitive pricing, so if we can't give you the best price or a fair price, then we're going to try to recommend you out to someone else to buy that hardware from.
My previous question too about the video, what's your response to that? I mean, can you do that, get that up and going, or?
Yeah, so I think I had made a recommendation maybe to also, as part of our proposal, that we would include a new design on your website as part of the agreement and going forward with us, because there's a couple problems with the existing site. It's severely dated, it's not mobile friendly, so there's some readability issues there. So I would think maybe if we get a new site design in place, that we integrate a system where your live view goes onto your YouTube channel, so you can stream live, and then after the live stream is over, it saves to YouTube and automatically feeds into your website for you. So I think we can provide the live stream for you, but also provide some automation and efficiency in getting that video from your camera into your YouTube channel or your website in general. I envision maybe a spot on your site that just shows the latest board meetings organized by date, just automatically feeding into the website. But we can facilitate that for you. Efficiency-wise, I don't think it's efficient for one of my techs to come and start that video every time for you, so I think it would be good for us to train someone who's present at all the meetings to just press the start button. But we can put a device in place that should initiate the live stream for you straight to YouTube.
So all that type of work would be at your hourly rate, or?
No, we would just support those devices for you.
But I mean, as far as getting it all set up and changed over?
There's really not much to do on that. It's just a matter of plugging in a device, configuring it to YouTube, and then plugging the camera into that. So really, we would just include that. I mean, that's a small project or improvement, so we're not going to bid that as a special project.
But you
So-
said on the website that in this is host and design?
Yes. So I believe I mentioned it. I can't remember which page. That is part of our proposal. We would
Okay.
offer the free redesign of your existing website so you can meet mobile compatibility and some other appliances. And then as part of that, I'm just envisioning with the live stream that we would set up a system that automatically streams that into your website and try to automate that a little bit so someone's not having to manually download, upload, name, etc. And ideally, the live stream ends and someone goes into the YouTube channel and names it, and it's done, and it shows up on the website and shows up on YouTube. So.
You mentioned some changes from the current system of email. What would change?
So I believe you guys are just using a very basic, like a cPanel or a web hosting based email right now. We would move you to Microsoft Exchange Online. So you've probably heard of like Office 365 or Senior Marketing, etc. We're going to use just the email only portion of that because it was indicated that the county already has access to all Microsoft productivity software, so you don't really need the full 365 suite. So as far as on a per user basis, you would access your email through your existing software. So if they're using Outlook or Thunderbird or whatever their mail software is, their software won't change. They'll gain the ability to check their email in a web browser, whether on-site or off-site. Maybe they might choose to use a different app on their cell phones to access the mail, but they could also use the native mail app on their phone to access the new mail server as well. There'll be forced encryption on all the email connections, so a user simply won't have the ability to access their email in a non-encrypted method. Simply won't be possible. So as far as changes, I see only improvements. You'll also gain the better performance of the Exchange Online servers. And they also have their own high availability system in place already, meaning your email's not only on one Microsoft server, it's on many servers. So the likelihood of an email downtime or loss of data, again, is very low.
You mentioned earlier that the mailbox storage is about 50 gigabytes. I'm not sure how big that is, but I know that there are some people that don't delete anything. So I don't know
Sure.
if that's big enough to hold all of that, or what happens if you need more room on your email.
So if someone needs more than 50 gigabytes, there's a couple of things we can do. We can do an in-place archive so that the system automatically archives to like a shared mailbox in Exchange Online, which doesn't have any additional cost. Or we can just expand that individual user's mailbox if they want to keep everything right there and handy. It just adds, a few extra dollars a month to that user's email
So
account.
the archive one, because I think I know what you're talking about, it basically just creates like a little subfolder up here, and you can still get to the emails, but they're up here in this archive
You can
folder.
still get to it, yes. But if they're wanting to keep, the archiving system's automated, so you have to set in some contingencies. For instance, everything older than 3 years gets moved to archive or something like that. And that may not be the case. So let's say if the state's attorney's working on a case that's 4 years and counting, he may not want his email moved. So if it were the state's attorney, I might suggest that we expand his mailbox to a larger size. But as indicated in the meeting on the 5th, I don't think you guys have any users that are approaching 50 gigabytes in size. By comparison, my personal mailbox, I never delete anything. And providing IT services, I'm a very heavy email user. All the reports come to my email. I'm sitting at about 60 gigabytes after several years, and that's with 60 gigabytes. So I would exceed that, but that's after several years of what I consider extraordinarily heavy email usage. So I would not expect any county employees to really meet that mailbox limit, but if they do, we can increase that on a per account basis. So, and to increase that size, we're talking $3 a month additional for that user or something like that. It's not extraordinary.
So with the email retention, you mentioned that some of those can be saved back for a certain period of time. Can the access to those archives be limited? Kind of the
Yes.
same FOIA question that we had before.
Yeah, so access to the archives can be limited if you would like. Do you mean like a user should not be able to access their own archives, or?
No, individuals supporting it probably should not be able to see everything in every email. So with FOIA, you even redact certain information for FOIA requests if it's confidential information.
Okay.
The components of the email are public anyway, but not every person's social security number or home address is made public, so we don't want that kind of stuff to get out. So maybe speak to the security of how that will work if you guys are administering the email.
So if we're administrating the email for you, that means we need the ability to create accounts, or if you get locked out of yours, we need to be able to change your password. That means we're gonna create a password for you, and there we may know that password, or we might give you the ability to change it again. So there's always gonna be, as the administrator of your email server, we're gonna have that ability, any IT provider is gonna have that ability if they want to see that data. It's gonna come down to a question of morals and a question of policy and agreements. If you don't want us accessing certain accounts, then we don't access those accounts. And then, of course, you can audit those accounts at any time to see when they were logged into, from what IP address. I mean, so that's data that you would have access to, or the county administrator could have access to, where you can at least monitor who is accessing those accounts. We have a pretty strict policy in place that we don't access any account unless we're asked to. So if a user calls us and says, I need you to log into this and look at this or change this for me, then we log into your account. But as far as maintaining your account, we don't have a reason to log into your email just to maintain it for you, unless you ask us specifically to look at something. The only way I see you getting around that access would be to have a point of contact on site, who is technically your email administrator, who then subs out access to us on a case-by-case basis. And I don't know if you would have someone willing or interested in doing that, or with the technical know-how to manage that system, so. I mean, anything's possible, but ideally, we would have full administrative access to the mail server, so we could properly support it.
On a different note, I have a question. In here it mentions incidental charges, and I understand some of them are listed as parts and equipment. Obviously, I get that. If we need
Sure.
a part or equipment, we're gonna have to do it. But it also mentions in there telephone calls, photocopying, shipping, mailing stuff. Are you saying if you take a phone call from us, you're gonna charge us for that phone call?
No, I'm saying if we have to place an overseas call for you and it somehow incurs some kind of cost to us outside of our normal phone system, we're gonna charge you for that.
So not if you have to call one of our vendors because
No.
we're having a problem?
No, that's covered in your unlimited support. I'm saying if there's something that would incur a cost to me, I have to go through some special circumstances or pay for a web conferencing session or something, then I'm gonna pass that cost off to you. If we have to go and mail a package on your behalf, let's say you have a piece of equipment fail, I'm gonna mail it and I'm gonna bill you the cost for that mailing. Otherwise, we're gonna have to say, here's your package, somebody go mail this and pay for it, and I don't think that would be a very efficient scenario. So that clause covers any incidentals we might have. Of course, you would be notified before any additional costs are incurred, but I think it would be good to have some kind of policy in place that says, hey, if it's less than $50, do it and bill it to us, or something along those lines, so that we can cover shipping, returns, or small part replacements without having to go through a large approval process, and that's pretty standard, I think, so.
It's basically charges that you're charged,
If
that you're
it
passing.
costs me, it's gonna cost you, basically, that's
Got it.
what it boils down to, yes. But other than that, all of our support is included in the 24/7, 365.
Any of our office holders have any comment?
John, actually, the same question that I had asked earlier about this bridge situation we need to clear up. And with that,